One of the most tragic days in Lisbon, Portugal's history happened right here in 1755 when the largest earthquake on European record struck just off of the coast of Portugal. Behind me is the Convento de Carmo, which is one of the most historic buildings here in Lisbon, Portugal. That's because in 1755, the largest earthquake in history struck this region and crumbled this one-time church and convent to the ground. On the morning of November the 1st, 1755, was packed full of parishioners worshiping on All Saints' Day. That morning, just before 10 a.m., the massive earthquake struck and most of this building fell in on top of the parishioners, killing most of them instantly. When the earthquake struck, not only did it crumble this building, it leveled about 80% of the city of Lisbon. Death tolls range. Some say there's as many as 10,000 deaths, and some estimates say 100,000 deaths. The problem with figuring out exactly the amount of people who perished is because that was followed by a tsunami and then 5 days of fires. And a lot of people just simply left, and a lot of people were buried without being recognized by their families because the destruction was so vast. Now, this is one of the only buildings that is still intact from that day of that massive earthquake. And today it is used kind of as a shrine to those that lost their lives that day and that historic day as well. Inside, there's an archaeological museum, which also has the tomb of a former king and a couple of mummies to add to that creepy factor. Everybody always asks me, is the place haunted? I have not found any word about this place being haunted, but it is described as haunting by a lot of the people who visit here. It's a beautiful location, and as you can see on a day like today, there's a lot of tour groups and a lot of people going in and around to check it out. Fast forward a few thousand years, and it takes you to 1974, where in April, the dictator of the time was actually turned over to the National Guard, which is right next door to this building, and ended his reign and turned Portugal into a democracy, which it is today. So this is a beautiful location. On the other side is an amazing overlook of the city of Lisbon, and you can see the skeletal remains of the cathedral as well because the arches are still there. It was also noted that this was long before the Richter scale existed, but it's estimated that this was just shy of a 9 on the Richter scale to kind of give you an idea of how strong the earthquake actually was. After the earthquake struck in 1755, there was a debate among the Portuguese as to whether it was an act of God or it was a natural force, and it changed the way that religion was looked at here in Portugal as the debate continued on whether Lisbon itself was destroyed because of its wicked ways, or if it was a natural occurrence, which was the case when it was discovered that the fault line was just off the coast of Portugal. Plate tectonics hadn't even been discovered yet, but there was an age of enlightenment coming in the near future to kind of explain how the Earth works. Hey, it's Besta and Steve, and we are inside the Convento de Carmo, which is a Gothic church that was destroyed in the 1755 earthquake of Lisbon.
And we have seen, you've talked about this a lot, when we were first coming to Lisbon on many trips. You can see these ruins from many places down in the center of the city because, everywhere you look, it's up on a hill all around you. You had many times pointed these out. Oh, I'd love to go see what that is, whatever. Well, we're here. I had no idea that you could walk into this building, the ruins of the building. It's very cool.
Yeah, and today it's a museum, but you can see that there's no roof, there's no ceiling. This is kind of like what was left after the earthquake, and they decided to leave it as a monument to that day. And now you can walk through and see how big it is, even though half of it's gone, and how it would feel to be in here during the earthquake.
Well, that's the thing that was so chilling. I think you might have mentioned this already, but you walk in here and you look up and you see the sky and what's left of those arches, and then you think, what must it have been like to be in here worshiping that day? And then down it falls on. It's just dramatic and terrifying, and wow.
Yeah, and I love that they meaning Portugal, the city of Lisbon, has decided to turn it into an architectural and archaeological museum. And inside, we came across some Egyptian mummies,
Yeah, lots of stuff.
some tombs from former people who lived and worked here, royalty. It's just fascinating.
And a really great sort of historical
Yeah.
projection show and one of the walls. It
Yeah.
was really clever, very well done. So if you like ruins and you want to like to study up on the history, this would be a place to stop.
Yeah, make this a must-see stop if you ever
Yeah.
visit Lisbon.
Thanks for watching.
Convento do Carmo in Lisbon is visible from many points throughout the city, but here's how to get there. We typically start at the beautiful Rocio Square, a place we never tire of visiting. Walk the short distance to the famous Elevador de Santa Justa and either ride up or take the nearby stairs. At the top is a spectacular view of Lisboa, including the Castelo de São Jorge and a walkway that will take you directly to Convento do Carmo. You will end up at the front of the historic convent, where you will find the museum entrance and a wonderful place to relax and people watch. This is also near both Chiado and Principal Real, beautiful byrows where we love to spend time with great shopping, views, tranquil spots to relax, and gorgeous buildings to take your breath away.